You clapped, so you don't need to clap again, unless it hypes you up, in which case you can clap.
No, I need it to hype me up. Yeah. It's more of a hype up thing.
Okay, you're gonna clap. I'm gonna hit play, then you talk. Sound good?
All right, good deal. Ready? Dance Like a Podcast, episode 2. Coming to you live. Slick, how we doing? What's the word?
Doing well. Your 30 seconds is on. Let's go. Where are you wrong?
Good, man. Where am I wrong? Happiness is outrageously overrated. So Hebrew is an old language, right? And it goes back way to the pre-modern era, back in like, I don't know, when people were doing weird shit, even weirder than they're doing today. Their word for happiness is oshel. But it doesn't mean like a state of consistent happiness. It means like a moment of joy. So only in the past couple of generations have we been able to like lift ourselves out of this misery to think of happiness as a top-down thing. We got to think of it more bottom-up. Where am I wrong? Where am I wrong?
Okay, so you're saying more of a top-down, more of a bottom-up than top-down.
Right? Bottom-up. The baseline is misery, so we need to work off of misery instead of thinking that happiness should be here. Okay. We're always constantly happy, and then we're just setting ourselves up for shitty expectations.
So Dan, you're wrong. Okay, so here's one. So that's a bad framework. It's gonna mislead people. Yeah, like it's very it's a catchy thing to say because it goes against what people are used to hearing, but it's gonna mislead people if you don't like have a nuanced conversation about it. Because I mean, then people are just gonna be like actively searching for miserable experiences and be like, oh, that's where I start. And no, I know, but I agree with the deeper argument here. But I think the message of like start with misery at the bottom is wrong. I don't think that's right. Because it's funny. It reminded me of my friend Andre asked me this yesterday. He was like, what's the biggest challenge that you've gone through? And I was like, like there are different challenges, right? There's some that you don't choose to go through that are like pretty miserable, and then there are ones that you actively seek out. So I was like, well, yeah, I think if you frame it in that way, it could be useful. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that we can't be seeking misery, but to think of the human condition as the baseline for where we're at. Like that's how we're going to go about being happy. Like only if you think about the past generations that we've seen more, depression, I would imagine, than ever. I think that if we just told people that depression is the norm, then people would be like, oh shit, like that's pretty chill. Like that's just kind of the way it is. And I can have these moments of joy. I can have these moments of joy when, I see my family for the first time of year, when I, have a child of my own or something like that. Right? Like, good meal, share it, celebrate with the team.
What would the Buddha say though, Dan? That's for another episode. Okay, on to name that logical fallacy. Okay, so here's the situation. I want you to describe what sort of fallacy. Where's the logic wrong here? So, in this book that I did not read, but saw a blurb from, it basically explains this guy. He's like, oh my God, you're wearing a wedding ring? Dad, you know where that tradition comes from? It's super sexist. It's derived from the ankle locks that men would use to keep their wives hostage. How could you be so sexist? So where's that argument? Where's that argument from?
Well, I think that I saw this a moment before we hit record here. I mean, a symbol can represent multiple things, right? Like, for example, if I'm a Celtics fan, the 2010 NBA championship, that trophy to the Lakers represents something a lot different than the people a few hours south of me in LA that are still celebrating, talking about how Kendrick Perkins got injured in Game 7. They won the damn game. So like a symbol can represent different things to different people. I think that's where lies the issue with your point on, or with the fallacy on the wedding ring. That's just another example, I guess, but at a probably a more meaningful scale.
It has to do with symbols. The official term is called a generic fallacy, not in terms of like everyday, but in terms of like generative. Like it comes from the source of the symbol. So it's like just because the source of something is bad does not make the thing itself bad. So like a wedding ring, just because it derives from this like perhaps ancient sexist practice, like that doesn't mean a wedding ring is wrong for what it symbolizes today. And honestly, I was curious in the last 40 seconds or so. I think Sam Harris critiques hijab kind of wrongly in this way. He's really anti-hijab, but I think like the symbology's changed, and he's highly critical of the hijab. Thanks for the hijab, right? What do you think?
That's interesting. Ooh, you just sprung that one on me.
30 seconds,
I think there's a difference between, I think he talks pretty openly about the burqa, the whole top to bottom issue. But yeah, the hijab, he spoke on that. So like, I think I gotta be back to that one, man. I think we're getting into dangerous territory here. But I think that the tradition belongs to my segment. This won't age well. We see a lot today about how our society's shitty. Societies in the past were shitty. Maybe don't see, like I said, contradict myself there. We can edit that out. But this won't age well is hopefully a look at how previous generations weren't as bad as we think, and our generation will probably get canceled in the future. First impression.
I'm trying to help you, Dan.
I know I got fucked up there. The first impression. So we're talking from a young age that the importance of a first impression is huge. You have a big smile, great handshake, say all the right things, speak from the right schools. From like an evolutionary perspective and more of a survival type of instinct. But if you're judging people right off the bat, we think that we're smarter than we are, and next thing you know, they turn out to be a sociopath. And oftentimes, people who make the best first impressions are the ones who end up being crazy. So I think you judge people for long term. First impressions are drop.
Yeah, I think maybe that's I don't know where to start with this one because I mean, first impressions, like, yeah, I think there is like undue emphasis on it, but then it's also like, how do we move forward from these like biological bugs that we carry with us, right? So it's like, are we gonna like have a social like a social norm around like shunning first impressions and like just like collective now, like I know that that first impressions are wrong. Is that where we're gonna go, or is it like are we gonna use technology to help us here, where it's like I don't know, maybe we have like a better understanding of who a person really is before we meet them somehow, with like maybe there's like some sort of default profile that's in kind of sketchy territory with technology and government profiles, but I don't know, something like that. I mean, we have official paper profiles, so why not like something else?
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I think there's got to be some sort of interface at some point. I mean, Neuralink style with your boy Elon there, that's all like completely data driven. I guess it goes along with what I was talking about before when it comes to dating. It's like, do we really know these people? I mean, you can be with someone for 25 years and not really fucking know who they are. It's kind of crazy. So
yeah, or have a really great or have a great conversation in the first like I don't know, night you meet someone too. Like it can go both ways. So yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. Monkey minds, man. Monkey minds. All right, last section. This is a fun one. So Dan, this is Magic Wand, new segment, testing things out. So 14 years ago today, Jack Dorsey publicly released Twitter to the world. I don't know if you knew that or not. So your Magic Wand, it's July 15th, 2006, and you are Jack Dorsey. What do you do?
You gotta create some way to eliminate the trolling accounts, right? It's like the bot farms and you have to see that coming if you're Jack Dorsey in 06. Like you gotta be like, I'm a big dog. There's gonna be huge engagement on whatever the hell platform I'm building here. There's going to be so much trolling, and the amount that leads to it. And it's also like a way for folks, it's an incentive for folks to want more engagement when they can just hire someone or pay for more clicks or pay for more follows or more likes whenever they tweet something out. It's a bad overall. You got to deal with the troll.
I think a lot of social media deal with this problem. Do you think like they just didn't realize how big it would get? Like did they just not plan for that kind of scale? Like what's the deal here?
There's no way they could foresee how big and influential.
You don't think Jack Dorsey and Zuckerberg were like thinking big when they started scaling up, and they just didn't think?
I don't think so. I mean, these are young 20 somethings that are. There's no way to think, oh, in 15 years going to be testifying before Congress because like the leader of the free world is using my platform to espouse like whatever he's espousing that day, whatever's in his brain. Yeah, I don't know, man, it's a wild, wild
Well, and the
question.
interesting thing is like, how do we even categorize social media? Because like, if you don't have the thing about free speech is like, you're a human and I know you're a human because I see you. And like in social media, it's like, how do you verify the source? Like if you can't verify the source, then it's just like, okay, it's just nighttime and people are yelling stuff at me. It's like, what? Like, how do I don't know, it's hard to make sense of it all that way.
Yeah, there's gotta be some sort of like,
But the identity thing is vital. Like little blue checks, like that needs to be like everyone,
there's
like
gotta be some sort of authentication.
this is definitely Dan, this is definitely slick. We need that.
There's definitely gotta be some sort of
That's the
secret
first time I've
blockchain
ever referred to
distributed
myself.
ledger network.
I've never referred to myself as slick. That was the first time.
I love it, baby. Slick. Are we on time? Are we done? Oh, we got 5 seconds. Distributed ledger tech, baby. Distributed ledger. Let's go. Episode 2 in the books.
All right, after show time, the best part.
After show, dude. I don't know, man. I was a little rattled at the beginning, but
Why's that? No, well.
I don't know. I just kind of felt rattled today. I felt like I didn't. I don't know. I felt like the first time I like was in the groove, and then this time I don't know. It's like, yeah, I think it's probably
Are you like
the first impression was really good, and now we're like getting into the trough of disillusionment. You know what I mean? It's like, ooh, first impression, that was so fun. Ooh, it's kind of like going on a new date with someone.
So you mentioned the human condition and now the trough of disillusionment. I think we're officially a podcast, Dan.
In one podcast, man. I guess I'm just a miserable fuck. I don't know.
No. That was the opposite of what I was saying.
Yeah.
But misery leads to all things great apparently now. So.
Hey man, we gotta go bottom up. Human condition is here.